When you know that there's history that can be made, how do you treat each at bat as the announcer every time Judge comes to the plate?
It became a little trying for everybody, and I'm sure for the viewers as well, Dan, because you're doing television and you know that this is going to be a standalone at bat if he hits the home run. So you've got to like layer all the important parts of what's coming up. And we were also welcoming in a national audience that was joining us on ESPN and on MLB Network. So there was a lot of that bookkeeping to do. So after a while, it got really, really old.
What kind of criticism was attached to this home run chase?
In terms of my calls or the home run chase?
I think everything that's involved in it. I think there are people that probably wanted to free their conscience that, hey, I fell in love with Bonds and McGwire and Sosa, and now I can move that to the side, and we got a clean home run champ. Or, you're breaking into programming. Nobody cares about Aaron Judge or the Yankees. So, not that you can control any of that.
Well, it's interesting, Dan. We live in a world, I think, where negativity really has a louder megaphone than anything positive. So, a lot of people were saying, and it was spurred on by Roger Maris Jr., who is a real gentleman, that this is the real record. It's not the real record. Even Aaron Judge says it's not the real record. The real record is Barry Bonds. But the beauty of sports and the beauty of those numbers is that you can actually make the decision for yourself. If you think that it's Judge's 62 that reigns supreme, then that's what you should believe. But to say that it is the official record, I mean, there's a record book that has Barry Bonds at the top of it. So that was certainly something that we heard a lot of. And then, especially during the Saturday broadcast, Dan, when we kept breaking in college football, Sean McDonough, a friend of mine, made a snarky comment as well. One time we cut into NFL Live in the first game yesterday, and they cut in for Kyle Higashioka's at bat. So, I guess everybody that wanted to see it was probably watching Yes or the MLB Network, and those that didn't want to see it didn't want to see it, so they didn't want to be bothered with it.
How big a record is this, though?
I think it's a big record because it's the American League record, so you don't have to fudge it and say the clean record or since they've been testing or anything like that. The number 61 almost has a romantic feel to it in sports, not just in baseball. A movie by Billy Crystal, 61, and that number has stood the test of time. So when you break that number after 61 years, I think it does mean something. I really do.
Does Roger Maris go away now?
You know what? It's funny. I asked a couple of people that. Does that diminish what he did? I don't think so, because it was so dramatic when he did it, and it was a chase between he and Mickey Mantle, so it captured the imagination of New York and certainly the country as well. And they were beating Babe Ruth's record, and that's probably one of the all-time great names in all sports. So I don't think he goes away, but I do think it takes a little bit of the shine away from the fact that, he was the American League home run leader. And those that believe that the guys in the National League did it with PEDs or whatever, they could always go back to Maris. Well, now you can't go back to Maris. You really have to go back to Judge. So I think it takes away a little bit.
And listening to your call, now this wasn't a no-doubter with Judge. And
No.
you let it breathe a little bit because you don't want to have warning track power, and you've made this call that you think it's going to be this majestic, this is 62, this is the home run. So what was the strategy there? As that ball's in the air, it almost felt like you took a breath and waited to actually see what was going to happen.
Well, I'm glad that I was on TV and not doing the game on radio like John, because when you say deep to left, you can take a pause and let the picture tell the story. And then once I saw that it was gone, then I said soaring into history. But that was not the home run that you really wanted on that call, because if it was like what Giancarlo Stanton hit the other day, 457 feet. I mean, you could serve a meal on that and still make the call. But this one was a little tricky, and I'm just glad I didn't stumble on it. But I did give it time to breathe, because you want to make sure that it's gone.
Well, remember when McGwire broke the record? It was a bullet.
Yes.
It was just a bullet. You couldn't even get, it's high. It might be. It could. No, it was like, it's gone. It's over. Then what do you do?
And that, you know what, Dan, that was almost like the 61st in Toronto. That was kind of a bullet too. And sometimes that's good, because you can't get into all of these, grandiose nonsense that you think that people want to hear. It's just boom, it's a home run call. But this was like a little bit between 60 and 61, somewhere in the middle of those two calls.